The most hyped horror films in years, Longlegs. Just watched it. Let's talk about it. I don't even know where to start. Longlegs, new 2024 film dropped from director Osgood Perkins, however you want to approach it. I have seen nothing he's ever done, so this is my introduction to him, to his technique, to how he approaches film. This is a movie about a female FBI agent played by Micah Moreau, I believe is how you pronounce her name, Lee Harkey, and how she gets involved in tracking down and figuring out this serial killer played by typically out of his mind Nicolas Cage under a whole lot of prosthetics. So if you're saying to yourself, female FBI agent hunting serial killer and putting together clues that she alone seems able to understand, then you are correct. Yes, you have heard this and seen this story many, many times. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Obviously, the go-to comparison, and I've seen it in a lot of conversation, I've seen it in a lot of debate about this film, is Silence of the Lambs. I think that's fair. For part of the movie, this other part, not so much. That's her whole story. Clues, putting it together, finding the serial killer. The director does a great job in this film. I think they use natural lighting in most of the shots. If not, they fake it really well. But there's shots where, you see somebody run through the woods in a film and you say out loud, where is all that light coming from? You won't say that here. You'll be begging for more light. They use the natural lighting, the static camera shots. There's not a lot of cuts. There was one scene in particular. The camera was on our lead actress and behind her was just a doorway into her kitchen. And because of how the film is structured, I found myself looking at the kitchen, like expecting something to come or an object to move or a body to pass through it. And that sense of dread, that sense of impending doom is all through this film. Like bleeds into every frame. It really is uncomfortable in a, man, this movie is getting to me kind of way. But, no, before I do the butts, let's keep talking about the good. Micah Moreau, who's from It Follows, I don't think I've seen her in anything else, is a great actress. Brilliant. I already mentioned the director. The supporting cast in here is great. Nicolas Cage. I mean, the man has a style of acting named after him. Cage Rage. Every Nicolas Cage movie where he just goes nuts or starts screaming something, yeah, it happens here too. Everything about the first 30 minutes of this film had me invested. And I start getting that feeling when I'm watching a great movie where I'm like, don't let me down. It's kind of weird. It's like my own version of impending dread. The more I get into a film, I'm just like, please, just stick the landing. Problem with this movie is that landing is just in another universe compared to where this film started. And I'm going to say it, this film is getting a ton of praise and hype, and it should. However, myself personally, I think where they went with this film was a bad call. I think that people left the theater confused, kind of shaking their head, looking at each other. It's the type of film that you kind of get talked into seeing by the hype. I will not watch again. I don't have a need to watch this film again. They took a brilliant performance. They took some brilliant writing. And they essentially took it to a very unexpected place. I gotta decide if I'm going to do any spoilers. I don't in my reviews, but I think I'm going to touch on a couple of little things because I have to, because they really bothered me in this film. So if you don't want any spoilers, like light spoilers at all, then just shut it down, okay? Because I'm going to get into it now. They sprinkle some supernatural in this film, and it did not need to be there at all. You have a very tense, very riveting hunt for the serial killer with a great cast knocking it out of the park. The direction is on point. But this weird thing happens after about the 30-minute mark. I started realizing that the film felt very samey. the scenes are shot the same. The camera is in the same spot. The actress, the entire movie, until very near the end, is essentially moving through the same few emotions. Like, she's not having a great laughing night with friends. She's in a constant state of what is happening and I must figure it out. And I'm a little uncomfortable to be here while I'm figuring it out all the time. And that, combined with the sameness of the film, kind of begins to feel like you're waiting for something to happen, and not in a, oh my God, this is going to be nuts. Just in a change. Something like a scene of levity, or a change in lighting, you know, being in a scene that had different colors, like something to break that train off the tracks. Now, other people are going to watch that and talk about the brilliance of that, how it's the simplicity of the script, the simplicity of the conversation between the characters melds with that everyday feel and natural setting. Not necessarily wrong, but it just got to me. And the twist that comes later is essentially, maybe demon mind control? I'm not entirely sure. But that is so out of left field. And when you start to realize what it implies, other parts of the plot really start to fall apart. And then you have to deal with your heroine essentially being in a position where one decision would have avoided deaths of people she knew, and she doesn't make it. Essentially just so the film can leave a teaser for a sequel. But it really basically takes away the arc of the main character. There's also this unexplained opening where this serial killer just kind of gives himself up to her, and they never go back to it or explain why that happened. It just did. That's a very odd scene. This character deserved an arc. Deserved, what do you want to call it, a hero moment. Deserved the Jodie Foster moment from Silence of the Lamb. And I think that the director, sometimes indie directors, art house directors, really like taking an established, loved idea and structure, getting their hands into it, making you feel like you're about to see an amazing retread, rehash, reimagining of that story, get you excited for it, and then completely subvert and destroy your expectations towards the end. Like, seriously, when is the guy that made Drive and then did it to himself with Only God Forgives and then has spent the last chunk of his life trying to get his career back on track? Mike, such a dumb idea. But they do it all the time. You get an audience to buy in and they're like, haha, you thought you had this one thing. I'm going to show you because I'm the director. And you end up with this. Your audience leaving the theater kind of going, meh. Now, there's going to be people that this is their masterpiece. It's their new Silence of the Lambs. Understandably, okay? I am just a dude in a poster-covered room with mics and stuff hanging around that I don't even use for this. I probably should. People are going to have a lot of different opinions about this, and that's great. I love to see a new film, original IP. Neon is dropping some fire right now. Some great hits from them, and stuff coming up that looks very interesting. So props to the production house, everybody involved. But I have to be honest, I didn't enjoy this film by the end. It just felt pointless. All the human struggle and strife that these characters go through, the promise of overcoming these odds. So-and-so versus serial killer, the confrontation moment is actually a really paramount moment in the film. That makes sense. I think so. It's that you finally get that interaction, that conversation, that dichotomy of like uber villain and, you know, maybe not rookie, but younger person who's overcome and persevered and raised themselves to this level to challenge this vicious creature, you know, this murderer. That's really taken away here by a bunch of gobbledygook spitting at the camera and then 3 or 4 headbutts to a character in a table. So bummed. In short, listen, if you want a good watch and you love horror, you're probably going to enjoy aspects of this. It's not really the terrifying thing they say it is. It's more like a little bit white knuckling, and you know, you're kind of like waiting for that thing to pop, and genuine creepy moments. But the payoff, oh, You watch this movie, all I can say is maybe it's like supposed to be some sort of expansion of the Phantasm universe. I don't I don't that's all I got. I don't know. Anyway, look, my first in theater horror experience of the year, I believe. I think. Didn't feel like my money was taken from me. Didn't feel robbed or anything like that. Popcorn was good. The dill sprinkle was on point, although my fingers did that weird thing where they got like kind of caked in it. And I kind of did that awkward thing. We kind of have to bite, lick it off. And they were still sticky. And I didn't feel it lived up to the hype, but I still had a good time with it. Buddy and I talked about it after. I could tell we both felt the same way. Walked out of the film. When we enjoy a film, we walk out like, oh man, I cannot wait to watch that again. That was so awesome. Oh yeah, like we both walked out of this one in silence, just kind of going, And his first words were, why the hell did they go there? It's because they wanted to. Not because of... Thanks for watching. As always, from my tiny little movie-loving room and occasional studio. Look forward to the next one. I have a couple more Bluefuls on the way. And I hope there's a couple of movies I'm excited for. Dare I say I'm excited for an M. Night Shyamalan movie? Trapped? Kind of am a little bit. Will it let me down? Probably.